and they're looking for, you're out there listening and you're someone that dabbles in the occult or you're really serious about it. You're looking for power, and especially this time of the year, to connect with the spirit world, become wiser. But, the Bible talks about fearing God is the beginning of wisdom. And if you want power, that's where you're going wrong. I'll never forget 20 years ago when I got saved when I was 17. Well, actually, I went to a Billy Graham crusade back when I was, I believe I was around 9 years old, and that's when I first was exposed to the gospel. I got saved then, but then I backslid in my teenage years. But then when I was 17, I recommitted myself to the Lord, and I was really zealous back then, and I was handing out tracts to folks, and went down to the local bowling alley and was handing out tracts to all my peers, and this one guy walked up to me and said, "Satan loves you." I guess word got out that I was, can you believe that? And I looked at him and said, "No, you got it all wrong." I can't remember if I handed him a tract or what happened there. It was kind of a little intense, but, you got it all wrong out there if you're drawing from the powers of darkness. And like Caryl was talking about, the enemy is very deceitful, and he can make it appear that, this is white magic, this is all good, and, and deceive you into thinking that there's nothing wrong with this. But the reality is you're letting your body, you're giving your body over to demonic forces that are coming in you, and they don't care nothing about you whatsoever. They want to destroy you. They're just using you as a vehicle for their purposes and their ways, and they're controlling you. You're not controlling anybody. They're controlling you, and their ultimate aim is to conquer and to destroy you. They don't care about you. And in general, folks, Christians out there, you need to be educated, and this is what you're getting in this show tonight. Caryl, has been studying this for years, and you're getting a lot of her wisdom on this. Now, you have don't you have a DVD out, Caryl, on Halloween?
Yes, I do. Actually, if your listeners want to go to my page, www.caryl, C-A-R-Y-L, that's how I spell my name, C-A-R-Y-L TV.com. But yes, some time ago I produced a DVD called Halloween Trick or Treat. I've still got a few of those in stock at the moment. And then we've got a tool for Halloween that we're offering at the moment, which is our Harry Potter Witchcraft Repackaged DVD and the Supernatural Powers, the Battle Between Good and Evil DVD. Both of those are on special at the moment for only $10 each. But yeah, I've made about 75, almost 75 documentaries in the last 3 decades.
Wow, that's a lot. Now, was the gods of the New Age?
Topics from the New Age to Satanism to Halloween to witchcraft, Satanism, all sorts of things.
Now, was Gods of the New Age, was that one of your first ones that you did? Or
yes, it was actually. That I wrote a book of Gods of the New Age, and Gods of the New Age was one of the first movies. Also, one on Mormonism called The God Makers. Those were the...
Oh, yeah, Ed Decker. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Great guy.
That was some time ago, and we made lots of movies on the cults, the Jehovah's Witnesses, all sorts of up-and-coming cults at the time, the Eastern mysticism of transcendental meditation, and Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh of the... he was another teacher from the East, and but recently, my more recent movies, I went to India a couple of years ago to make a movie on yoga, because there is such a growing attraction in churches today where Christians think that they can practice yoga, and my question was that can a Christian practice yoga? And so I went to India to ask the teachers of yoga if the exercise of yoga could be separated from the spirituality of yoga, and that's what my DVD Yoga Uncoiled is all about, basically asking the question of can the spirituality be separated from the exercise. And the gurus, the godmen, the priests of India will tell you that no, there is no Hinduism without yoga, and there is no yoga without Hinduism. The two cannot be separated. It's just like asking a Christian if the communion service can be separated from the heart of Christianity. There is no Christianity without the cross, and there is no cross without Christianity. And when we have a communion service, it's because we remember what Jesus Christ did for us on the cross. Well, we cannot take that out of the message of Christianity, although what's happening today is the emergent leaders, people like Brian McLaren, Tony Jones, Erwin McManus. I mean, Erwin McManus says that his goal is to destroy Christianity as a world religion and be a recatalyst for what he calls the movement of Jesus Christ. So it's all being defined and redefined. Rob Bell came out with a book that there is no hell.
Love wins.
It's just unbelievable that they, Brian McLaren says that the church has been preoccupied with the question, what happens to your soul after you die, as if the reason for Jesus coming can be summed up in Jesus is trying to help get more souls into heaven, as opposed to hell after they die. So Brian McLaren, I just think that a fair reading of the gospel blows that out of the water. I don't think the entire message and life of Jesus can be boiled down to the cross, the bottom line being the cross. Well, of course it is. That's what Christianity is all about, that God's Son to take the penalty for our sins so that we can be saved. Anyway, the yoga DVD is really, really interesting. It's caused a lot of controversy, as you can imagine, because...
really? You mean your particular one has caused controversy?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really? Why is that?
Pardon?
Why is that? I mean, I know why in general, but I'm thinking what's gone on. What are they saying?
Well, because Christians want to be able to do yoga. Hundreds and thousands of Christians want to do yoga, are doing yoga. Yoga is in the sanctuaries, being practiced in the sanctuaries of churches all over America.
Oh, that's horrible.
Saying that they can be involved in yoga without offending God. And it's just not true, because God is offended when we have interaction with pagan gods and goddesses. I mean, the scripture tells us that he has called us out. He has told us not to go whoring after other gods, as he says in Leviticus 20. He warns us not to be involved in divination, in spiritism, in enchantment, in sorcery, in witchcraft.
I want to interject, though, on with the yoga with you, though, because, the argument is, the famous argument with Christians is, and when they look at it from a natural standpoint, is that it's just an exercise, and if you can divorce it from the spiritual aspect of it, all that stuff, then it's okay in their mind. But why is it not okay?
But that argument is the very point of our radio show tonight, that they will take away all the negative spirituality about Halloween and say, well, I'm just going to celebrate the festival of death, but I don't want any of that spiritual stuff in it. Well, you see, this is then we become gods of our own life. We decide what's right and wrong. We decide that what God has said in the Bible is not what I want to listen to, and I'm going to do what I want to do. But
regardless of what it says.
Pardon?
people want to do regardless of what the Word says and warns them about. Like you said, it's kind of like I know exactly what you're talking about when I talk to anybody that thinks it's okay, like yoga and that. It's just kind of like they make the decision. It's what they think. And it's like, wait a second, let's go back to what the Bible says, not what I say or anybody says for that matter.
Of yoga, there can be no yoga without Hinduism. There can be no Hinduism without yoga. Just the same as Halloween. There can be no Halloween without the celebration to the god of death, and there's no god of death. I mean, that's what the very heart of Halloween is all about, celebrating the god of death. And the god of death is... So when we get into yoga, the name yoga, the word, the Sanskrit word for yoga means to yoke with Brahman.
Yoke.
Brahman is the Hindu concept of God. It's a consciousness. It's like the Force, the Star Wars Force with, the Force be with you. That's what Hinduism is. Brahman is a force. It's not a personal God. It's an energy. So what they say is that by going into the position of yoga, I mean, if somebody wants to do stretching exercises and do gymnastics and stretching and limbering up, you are not involved in ceasing to think. In every yoga class, there is a point in the yoga class where the person has to stop their thinking, have to stop the stress coming into their mind. They have to close their mind out. They have to concentrate, go into their inner self, get involved in breath prayer, as it's called, breathe in and out, be involved in self-hypnosis, get in touch with that inner being, which is what yoga is all about, an altered state of consciousness, to get inside and awaken that divine spark, which within Hinduism is to connect with the wisdom within yourself. The wisdom is known as the snake power, the serpent power, the kundalini power. And you awaken the coiled snake of wisdom inside of you, push it up your spine till it comes to the third eye, and when it gets to the forehead, become enlightened. Enlightened to what? Enlightened to understanding that you are one with God consciousness, that you and God are one, that the divinity within you has been woken up. This is what my whole latest new film is all about. Wide is the gate, the emerging new Christianity, to find the divinity within yourself. This has now come into the church. This is what... even like Rick Warren. Many people see him, and here he is, an evangelical Christian leader, born a Baptist, who comes from a couple of generations of Christian background, and yet he says he uses an Eastern technique called breathing, breath prayer. He says that Christians may use breath prayers throughout the day. You choose a brief sentence or a simple phrase that can be repeated to Jesus in one breath. Now, look what he's just said. You repeat the name of Jesus or a simple phrase that can be repeated to Jesus, and you do these breath prayers all day. Jesus does not to be involved in repetitive prayers like the Gentiles and pagans do. Taking a word and repeating it again and again and again is self-hypnosis. It's to take you into an altered state of consciousness. That's what these Eastern experiences and mystical practices are designed to do. How can Rick Warren, he's been called the second most powerful evangelical after Billy Graham.
He's supposed to be like the next Billy Graham or something, they said.
Yes, and he's got the 8th largest church in America, 28,000 people in his congregation. He invited doctors to come into his church for the last...
Dr. Oz.
January the 1st, he's got a 52-week program with 3 doctors who were involved in Eastern meditation, yoga, meditation, Reiki healing, all these
Reiki.
It's unbelievable that here is a Christian man who should be teaching the Bible, who should, in fact, in my movie, Wide as the Gate, I've interviewed a girl that was in Saddleback Church, that's Rick Warren's church. She was there for 9 years, and she never read the Bible when she was in that church. She said that nobody ever had the